Greenville City Council will come to order. Call the roll.
Ely. Here. Godwin.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Whitaker.
Here.
Brown.
Here. Okay, if I could get everyone to stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, you've all been sent the previous minutes. Are there any additions or corrections needed? If not, they stand approved as sent. Approval of the financial report that was sent out. Need a motion to approve? Yep, so moved. Motion to approve the financial report. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Ely. Yes. Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Approval agenda, I have a number 5 to add. It's a resolution waiving the civil servants fees for FY22. Is that it? Yep.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Ely. Yes. Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, we're flying through this. G, a public hearing. I know we have quite a full house. I'd like to limit to each person 3 minutes to state their view on the public hearing part. Would anyone like to speak? If you could state your name and address for the records.
My name is Erin Keys and my address is 1098 Buckeye Drive. I am speaking about the development that they want to do on Lease Avenue. I live right behind that on Buckeye, and we purchased our house about 2 years ago. And the main reason we bought that house was because of not having anything behind it. So my concern is we've already put a large amount of money into the house, remodeling it. And I don't want my property value dropping because of a multi-unit building behind my house. That's just the property value is my concern. Also, I was a dispatcher for 17 years, and I can tell you the amount of calls that we get at those kinds of residences is through the roof. When you can tell people what apartment people live in because they call that many times, that's a concern. I don't want that kind of crime and stuff in my backyard. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Hi, Shane Laux, 1000 Kings Drive. I live literally right behind it also. We brought up at the last meeting on the zoning about the water issues we're having in that neighborhood. Anybody that's in that neighborhood knows every time there's a big heavy rain, Kings Drive becomes a moat. I've had to put extensive money into my property because of that to get water out of my crawl space. So is my neighbor Todd. I don't know how you're supposed to take more water on from city streets in that area and not continue to have flooding issues. And I can't afford to have any more water in my crawl space, for example. And to back them up on their previous thing, I mean, property value, how does that help us? You can't build multi-income properties like this and not hurt property value. We all have a very, very nice neighborhood and we'd like to keep it that way. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Derek Case, 409 Harrison Avenue. City Council, I'd like to thank you for letting me speak today. I want to address an old business discussion regarding medicinal marijuana and my disagreement that we should not have it accessible to all citizens in downtown area like Broadway. I will start by stating and having with me that it is not historically unusual for our city to have a pharmacy on Broadway. We've had it for many years and even memorialized it with photographs of it in the Garth Museum. I also want to remind members that this is a medicine, that they're there just to pick up their medicine. We understand that this is also to aid city and revenue from taxes throughout, even if it's outside our county. With having a pharmacy in downtown, these people will be walking by and increasing opportunities for becoming routine or curious customers for our small businesses and events as people regularly or randomly pick up their prescriptions. I also would like to point out a discussion that Mr. Serber brought up previously, that people go to the park to buy and use drugs. I actually walk around town and even go through downtown from my commute to and from work. I'd like to think I have a good grasp of what happens within the community. Also, a lot of people who do drugs, from my experience or witnessing in this community, get around by walking or bicycle. The dealers live here in town. Having inaccessible legal medical dispensary will just aid the black market of drug dealing and give people access to taking unregulated, who knows what substances. I'm not saying make downtown a smoking area. That is your job to regulate, not, if you have fears of secondhand smoke, pass those laws. I am not advocating for a marijuana hookah bar or cigar bar for people to smoke it. I'm advocating for accessible medicine, which has been done in this town for decades with other and stronger drugs that we know now without incident. I hope y'all rethink this issue in a business and logical manner to keep the community safe and healthier.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Paige Burns. I live at 941 Washington. I want to voice my support for the medical marijuana dispensary in downtown. I think it would get some good foot traffic down by the local businesses. I also just had a couple questions. Is there any plans for the land that's over where East School used to be?
You want to take that, Ryan? Or Mayor?
There's someone that owns it, Derek Robertson, Bonanza, but they don't have any plans of what they're going to do with it.
Okay, so it's not owned by the city.
No.
So the same people own the South School property that they're developing. Our hope is that,
Is that over on Washington?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's the 600 block of Washington, 700. So our hope is they see the success they're having there and they're doing really well. I think they have several of them sold. When they're finished there, they will come to East School.
I think there's a lot right beside it that's directly behind, I think it's Dollar General, that's for sale. I think it would be really nice to have another park in that area, maybe like a community garden for homeless people who can't afford food. I also wanted to bring up the fact that there is a ton of plastic pollution around the river, specifically on River Street. Me and Derek went yesterday and filled 4 of the city trash bags with trash, and we barely put a dent in any of it because there is so much down there. It would be really nice if we could, I don't know, get some help, whether that be like you guys just, I don't know, buying the bags for us. But yeah,
Yeah, that's something we can discuss. I mean, that might be a good project for a community project. I know there's several youth groups, et cetera, so maybe we could get with them.
Thanks for doing it.
yeah,
Yeah, thanks for
thank
doing
you.
that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
that's all I have. Thank you.
How about Kim wanted to speak?
Yeah, I thought you were speaking, Kim.
Bill Myers, 1004 Kings Court or Kings Drive. Depends on who you ask there, post office. Talking about the property off Lease Avenue. I think we all feel the same. I was at the planning meeting, the planning and zoning meeting. That was everybody pretty much has the same consensus. We don't want that kind of a development back there. We don't need that type. We don't want our property values lowered. The drainage issue that Shane talked about, we see it every time we get a heavy rain. The corner of our property is on the corner of the woods that they've cut down. And to the north of our property is a woods, and there is a waterway that runs right through it. It runs through that section and right in between, ends up running in between Shane's house, or it kind of overflows there. So that drainage comes right out of that property that they're wanting to put parking lots in, which is going to create more water. That's a big concern there. The property values, I got to go back to my notes here. The police and fire. This gentleman here, Brian, he spoke last at the zoning meeting. There were several that spoke about the draw because of so many calls to those type properties. I don't think we need that. We need single family housing or places to build single families to increase the tax base and things like that, and those kind of improvements. We don't need 50, 60 units stuffed in one area like that. You know, we don't, I don't think. That's my opinion, of course. The traffic, increased traffic in the area. The street that goes by there back into North Park is not, I don't think it's an accepted, it may be accepted. I don't know what I need to know about that street, but I don't think it's fit for such a development, I'll say. I know there's some issues there. And that's basically my thoughts. But like I say, we're very against it, and it's not because it's development. It's not, we're not against it because of development. We all knew, just like when we, in '99, there was a woods behind Buckeye. And that got developed. All the neighbors, nobody wanted it. It's the same thing. Nobody wanted this in their backyard. They didn't want a development. That's not our case. We knew when we were going into it that someday would be developed. But it needs to be the right kind of development. It doesn't need to be what they're trying to put in there. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick minute. My name is Scott Keys. I too live at 1098 Buckeye Drive. As my wife stated earlier, and I'm just going to kind of echo a couple things here too, but you know, from previous meetings, the same thing really with the property on Lease Avenue. It was kind of addressed. It sounds like it's a multi-level, low income is kind of what I've been hearing a lot of. And like the gentleman just said, you know, we're all about development, something that can grow the city of Greenville and make Greenville stronger for people to want to come here and live. But when you stand up here and you listen to different things, you know, from a previous address from where I had lived, you know, one of the reasons for us to kind of look elsewhere was because of drug problems in Greenville. You know, we've heard you go through the parks. I used to love run through the park. There's times where now I don't run through the park because I know those activities go on. I get away from our main parks. North Park is an area where you can run through the track. I like to walk my dog, run with my dog around there. Guess what? I don't do that any longer. We're attracting the drugs and things back in there as well. So when I hear low income development being brought to Greenville, I hear a lot of negative in that because it seems like the attraction into Greenville is to bring low dollars, drugs, and that's our attraction to Greenville. And that saddens me as a citizen of Greenville, trying to build and help the community to become stronger and more wealthy, that I hear those types of things as our main attractions of development. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Excuse me, yes.
Good evening. My name is Frank
Just a
Fugate,
second.
500 South Front Street.
We've got someone on the web, so if you could hold off the person on the web, and then we'll take this one first. Go ahead.
So I'm assuming tonight that we're talking about the public hearing for both of these zoning amendments, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm here in support of the Adrian Avenue, the development that sits over more in a business district. that doesn't have neighbors, different things like that. We look at our development as workforce housing. And we look at that, we're seeing nationwide that housing is needed, all types of housing is needed. Multifamily, single family, senior housing, but workforce housing is what we're here tonight to talk about, 42 units. You know, my company, the company I work for, Woda Cooper Companies, we're a 30-year-old company. We take very seriously, two owners take very serious about these issues that some of these folks have talked about, the drugs. We have an agreement we have a portion of our lease agreement that if there's drug use, it's 24 hours and they're out. And we exercise that. Our company realizes the importance of one bad apple can spoil the whole thing. We have a development here. We've gone through some of the discussions that we have had some runs there. We have taken action with those folks. It can't be done overnight. Sometimes it takes time. But I feel that I've spoken to our manager. I feel we've been very proactive. And I know, speaking to my other managers in other communities, we're a proactive group. So I really think that for the growth, if you look at the comprehensive plan that the community lives by, grows by, you really need to look at these 42 units on over 7 acres. We have a lot of green space, we have plenty of retention, and we'll design it so that it'll fit into the neighborhood. The neighborhood right now is multifamily. There's 2 developments, one across the street and one to the west. So we're not hop skip zoning. It's contiguous to existing multifamily zoning. So I think the key to this tonight is, I think this is an opportunity for Greenville to allow this rezoning and move ahead with some more housing. It's a $10 million development. It's LEED green, it's energy efficient, and it'll be folks that will be working on it from this community. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. All right, so Ryan, can you see the name on that account?
Yeah, it's Justin.
Justin, you're up.
Hi, thank you. Council President and City Council members, my name is Justin Metzler. I'm with National Church Residences, address 2245 North Bank Drive in Columbus, Ohio, and appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk to you today a little bit more about our development that's proposed off of Lease Avenue. So my apologies, I couldn't be there this evening, but again, appreciate the opportunity to be able to present virtually. Just a quick recap, again, National Church Residences, we're a nonprofit organization. We've been in business for 60 years. We're headquartered in Columbus. We've got 3,000 staff nationwide, and we are a developer, owner, manager, and service provider of senior housing. We're actually the largest provider of service coordinators in the country. We're mission driven, and we originate from a Christian commitment of service to provide high quality care, services, and residential communities for all seniors. As I've mentioned, we're a nationwide owner, operator, developer of senior housing, primarily affordable housing, touching over 31,000 lives across the country. We have experience in a variety of different senior housing types and services, including independent living, private duty care, skilled nursing, home health care, memory care, adult day services, assisted living, and hospice. And here in Ohio, we have over 8,000 units, and we also have units, I know I mentioned this last time, fairly local, within the closest proximity being in Dayton, Ohio, nearby your community. So why, we are proposing an affordable senior housing age restricted development for your community. What we're finding is what's known as the longevity era, which between 2015 and 2055, we will nearly double the number of people who are age 65 and older, from 50 million to 90 million people in this country. And Greenville is no exception. Within Darke County, there are over 51,000 individuals Of those, over 17,000 are residents who are age 55 and older, with over 30% of those who are spending over 30% of their income on housing. The current market, we actually had a recent market study completed, and as a result of this recent market study that was completed back in December, actually on December 15th, it was estimated that the city of Greenville would have close to 900 households of age and income qualified individuals in 2024. The projected opening, which is a projected opening of this project after construction. The area of our market study, which is indicated what our market analysts refer to as the PMA, or the primary market area, was identified based upon interviews with local officials, leasing agents, along with economic development representatives. And the primary market area, or the PMA, for our project, over 65% of the area actually encompasses the city of Greenville. And it just expands about 5 miles outside, 5-mile radius outside of the city of Greenville, where our site is located. The total represents basically a 6.7 capture rate. Our analysts, which indicates it's a very favorable number when estimating the demand for this type of housing product. With this said, the demand is concerning because it's only going to continue to increase. Due to the limited number of comparable senior housing properties within your community, 3 out of market properties were actually selected in order to derive the information that was needed to be able to come up with area comps for the study. The selected properties in our study that were identified as market rate have an occupancy of over 95%, with the comparable affordable senior housing and age restricted communities are 100% leased, with long wait lists of up to 18 months in length. Our typical resident, basically it's, and again, age restricted to those that are 55 and older, but our typical resident is a single female around the age of 70 with a minor ailment such as chronic, or such as high blood pressure is very typical. And, you know, from the data that we receive from our market analysts and from what we observe on our own experience, based on our own experience, we find that 75% of residents are from the community in which the property is located. The remaining 25% of those typically are have either been residents of that community or they are looking to move back to be closer to friends and family. The development, as you're aware, is located off of Lease Avenue, which is immediately to the west of Kroger and to the south of the Treaty of Greenville Park. In addition to the quality design of the building, the site will be designed and built to current stormwater regulations, which the site currently lacks. Once constructed, the site will be able to operate efficiently and effectively by harvesting 100% of the rainwater on site through retention, detention, or underground stormwater storage solutions. Although our architect can provide some additional input and details, our civil engineer that we have connected with and that we work with on a regular basis has indicated that the residential neighborhood that many are complaining from to the south with stormwater is actually upstream from our development. That said, any water runoff as it relates specifically to our site will not be directed towards these homes. Choice One Engineering has also indicated that the additional units added to this area should not disturb the infrastructure present to accommodate this development. National Church Residences will work with the city to ensure design and standards are met to support the existing infrastructure as a result of our development. The site is an ideal location for this type of housing product. It's located close to a variety of amenities. It's buffered, it's insulated from the commercial area, from the single family residential that's to the south. And it's located with convenient access with the existing sidewalks that are in place to Kroger, Walmart, pharmacies, and a variety of other restaurants, local businesses, and shopping. In addition, the adjacent treaty of Greenville State Park with a walking path is another great amenity for these senior residences. And as I mentioned, the property is well insulated from the surrounding commercial and residential uses by being tucked away next to the park and Kroger and roughly about 200 feet to the nearest adjacent single-family home. There's also no direct access to this single-family neighborhood that is just to the southwest of the property.
Justin,
This
if we could get you to wrap up here real quick, it's been over 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry. So this age-restricted community is a proposed 2-story building. It's an elevator, and it's going to be designed to lead silver standards. Originally, we had proposed 60 units of housing here, but due to competitive criteria and economic drivers, especially with a high cost of construction, we have limited it to 45 units in a 2-story building. Lastly, so we've heard that there would be significant drain on public city resources such as the police, fire, and emergency. Another benefit to our property is that we have on-site senior services coordinator that helps our residents and that actually gives an analysis to our residents when they first come to our property and also on a regular basis to understand what needs that they have from a health perspective or from a socialization perspective. So our senior service coordinators work with the residents, many of which already live within the city of Greenville, to help reduce the number of calls that may be received for non-emergency type items. And we'll also work with the city to be able to identify any repeat offenders to those local services and to identify a plan to help resolve in the future. In summary, I know that I've got some colleagues there. So Amy Rosenthal, she's the vice president of our affordable housing team that showed the rendering. We have our architect that's also there, Joe Youst, and we have John Hallway, who's a part of our construction team, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any other?
Jeff Serber, 350 Martin Street. I guess just a few things I want to talk about is address a few of the statements, Justin kind of addressed some of it. Talking about water runoff, if you look at the site, the water is all heading north and east towards the park. None of it heads to their properties. If they have water problems now, they had water problems when the houses were built, and I think they ought to take it up with their builder. As far as calls go, I think we're talking about improving the quality of housing for existing residents in the town. So I think shuffling them or concentrating them in one facility doesn't increase the number of EMS calls they might make. And then as far as the street goes, this street does not interact with those on Kings Court or Buckeye. It's actually, I think with their buffer that they proposed, there's going to be about 200-foot separation between any structure that they would build and the neighbors. I don't know that many of the neighbors have looked at an overhead map, but this parcel does not actually touch any of them. Everyone on Kings Court butts up against a different property owner, none of which is being cleared. So I want to make that clear. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yep. Your light's on, Bill, on your phone.
Number one, the contractor has nothing to do with the water issue. Water issue runs through that property beside.
Bill, if you could, Bill, if you could just address the council, not,
Okay. All right.
please.
All right. Like I say, this, I'm not a good politician. I'm sorry.
You're good. Just tell us what's on your mind.
Well, this is just like that right there. Things get blown out of proportion, and that's not the truth. That's not what the deal is, you know? And anybody that I've talked to has not thought this is a great idea, unless they are telling me to my face one thing and nothing, something else, you know what I'm saying, when they talk to somebody else. I've talked to several people. Nancy's my wife. Nancy's talked to several people. Anyone that I've talked to doesn't think this is a good idea. Okay. And as far as corners touching corners, who cares? It doesn't matter whether the corner is touching the corner of the property. That is still going to be back there, and we are the ones that are going to have to deal with it. That type is not what we need in this town. That type of property, those type people. Is there anything that down the road says that, yes, this has to be people over 55 years of age? Does anybody go check that and see who's actually living in those houses at any of these other places that we have in town? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think that goes on. I don't think any of that's ever checked out. I don't know. I may be wrong. So who knows what we're going to end up with? You know, the police and fire, you talk to any of them, they all say the same thing. They know where the problems are. It's just like Justin mentioned, you know, they go to, I think it was Justin, somebody else. They go to the same house number every time. You know, it's the same problems, same groups, you know. I don't know how, if so many people think it's the wrong thing to do, that we do it. And I know we've not got to that point yet, but I just want to make sure I'm heard, basically.
Okay.
So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Excuse me, I'm Lynn Hamilton. I live at 7490 Fanny Avenue, Greenville, Ohio. And kind of talking regarding the North Broadway property and across from the Maid-Rite. And maybe I could pretty well just echo what Justin said. This has senior housing in mind. Although I do believe they have a 3-story in mind versus 2-story.
Lynn, just so you know, that is not on the public hearing tonight. That would be.
That's not here tonight. Okay.
Just to let you know, when is that? The next last meeting in February is when we'll have the public meeting on that. But just so you know, but you can go ahead and speak on anything else.
Anything else, or could I,
and that's fine. I just wanted to let you know that the public hearing for that property, that zoning is not till last meeting in February.
Oh, okay. I just want to clarify that we're talking just half of that 10 acres. Basically, it'd be on the south side, sort of behind the Sherwin-Williams building, where it probably would not be all that visible from the street. And again, it was for seniors, not the workforce or anything like that. They did have workforce in mind for the other half, but I'm under no obligation to sell that to them. So that's all I got to say for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? I think we're getting closer on everyone speaking.
Good evening. I'm Amy Rosenthal with National Church Residences. Thanks for allowing Justin, my colleague, to join via Zoom. We really appreciate that. There's just a few things I feel like I really want to clarify here, because I've heard a lot of those people and that type of property. And I just want to, I think I would be remiss if I didn't speak on behalf of the seniors that National Church Residences houses and provides seniors every day. We're the nation's largest nonprofit provider of senior affordable housing. We serve 33,000 seniors a day. We're not only a developer, but we're a manager, and we're a service provider, and we're a long-term owner. Those people that I've heard reference to today are senior residents, age 55 and up. And I think Justin showed that over 30% of the county is made up of folks that are 35 and up. The income range that we serve, yes, you're right, it is classified as low income, but that is defined as between $13,000 and $38,000 a year. That's our income qualifications. Justin's slide and our data shows us that the county's area median income is $48,000. So we're not that far off from the median. I also think it's important to address some of the just the crime and safety issues. We will be having a service coordinator on site, and that service coordinator, if those issues arise, will work with safety, fire, and police to address those concerns. In the local community, we want to be a good neighbor. We want to be in a place where our residents are welcomed. We want to be a part of the community. So I just wanted us to take that opportunity just to address and help define a little bit about who we are and who we serve and what the residents will look like. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. John Holloway with National Church Residences. And I just wanted to touch on one additional topic that Justin and Amy started to touch on. Again, not this type of housing. Well, these are two-story buildings that are built for $180 a square foot, which is as much or more than any single-family house. They will provide a nice aesthetic for the neighborhood. They will provide dignified housing for the seniors. And at some point, I hope I can live in a building this nice.
Hey, anyone else?
Hi there. My name is Brian Reeser, and I'm here regarding our property at 1375 Bendon Way, which is, I'm speaking in part on the development that they're wanting to put in on Adrian. So it'd be we're in the property directly west to where they're wanting to build, and we are opposed to it when we build our building.
You said opposed, right?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
opposed to it. We're completely against it. When we built our building and moved our business there, it was because it was in a business plat. Everything around there was business other than the Willow Apartments across the street. And since then, they've added in the senior apartments. And we just don't think there needs to be any more residential housing around there. It is, zone business manufacturing. We generate some noise with some of the machinery that we run, saws, our CNC router. We've got a vacuum pump, dust collection system, all that stuff. So we don't know that we'd have any issues with people wanting to complain about noise or anything like that with running our equipment there. And again, going back to, the low income and the crime and everything else, we have customers that leave their vehicles on the lot. And we just don't think it'd be a good idea to bring in an undesirable element to that area. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else?
Good evening, council. My name is Nancy Myers. I live at 1004 Kings Court. I believe my husband spoke with you earlier. Are there any other letters that have been received from the neighbors in the area concerning this proposed development on Lease Avenue?
You have any correspondence?
I know we have a couple of neighbors that are out of town that were very active the last time before the Planning and Zoning Commission. So
what was mailed out today?
I have letters.
I know I had submitted a letter by email this morning.
I have a letter from Nancy and then
Letter from you.
I have a letter from.
Yeah, so a letter from the Dark County YMCA in support of it, and a letter from Jaffe Decorating in support of it, and then a letter from you, Nancy.
Okay. I was just curious. Again, I'd like to reiterate a couple of facts that I brought up during the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, and I have an inquiry as to if there has been any research done on similar facilities that is owned by the Nazarene Group in communities regarding police, fire, and rescue services. Has there been any information obtained on that?
Ryan,
the mayor and I actually visited a facility that they manage and own in Wapakoneta. And then we pulled public records from many different, not just ones that National Church owns, but all the places that came to Greenville wanting to build here. It was a book. I don't know what you consider a lot, but.
Right, that's just curiosity.
Yeah.
I know we had talked at the Planning and Zoning Commission that might be something the city look at. So again, as property owners, we understand there's going to be development. My husband and I encourage development. I worked for a long time for this community to get development, but I think we have to look at smart development. And that's what I would encourage council to really consider when you think about any types of, not just the Lease Avenue development, but any types of development within the community. What's the smart development? What builds our tax base? I own apartments. I understand the need and the non-need for certain facilities. But I would encourage council to look at the overall development and what's best for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Real quick, will the correspondence be read during this hearing that you received?
Yeah, we've got recommendation from planning and zoning on both of these that we will have to either accept or not accept.
I was referring to the letters that were sent in.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, we'll read those. Thanks, Jeff. Sure. We'll go ahead and read all three of those.
To Greenville City Council. It is our understanding that National Church Residences is proposing an affordable senior housing development located off of Lease Avenue to the west of Kroger. On behalf of Jaffe Decorating here in Greenville, we would like to extend our support for the proposed development of the senior housing multifamily community for individuals 55 and older. As a business that has operated for over 40 years in Greenville, we understand the need for some of our employees for this type of housing product. In addition to understanding this need, we also realize the limited supply of senior housing within our community. Quality, affordable housing that can support some of our senior staff by providing stability would be a tremendous asset, not only to our business, but to the community of Greenville as well. With this said, we extend our support and request that the Greenville City Council acknowledge the need by a favorable rezoning approval for the proposed National Church Residences affordable senior housing community. Sincerely, J. Randy Odell, President. To Greenville City Council, we understand that an affordable independent living senior housing development is being proposed just to the west of Kroger and immediately south of the city's treaty of Greenville State Park off of Lease Avenue. The project as presented to us is a 45-unit, two-story multifamily elevator building restricted to seniors of age 55 and older and will be presented at the upcoming city council meeting on Tuesday, January 18th. On behalf of the Darke County YMCA located here in Greenville, we would like to extend our support for this proposed age-restricted development for seniors in need of quality, affordable senior housing. The YMCA of Darke County has called Greenville its home since 1965 with a rich history of promoting healthy living and fostering a sense of social responsibility. As an organization that continually works side by side with our neighbors to make sure everyone, regardless of age, income, or background, has an opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive, we feel this proposed senior housing project will be a tremendous asset to our community. The YMCA of Darke County also understands the demand within Greenville and Darke County for the need of additional senior housing. We also know the positive impact and stability housing can have, particularly to our seniors in need of an affordable place to call home. Again, we are very pleased to lend our support to this much needed affordable housing community and request a favorable consideration for the rezoning of this property. Sincerely, Sam, CEO, YMCA of Darke County. From the November 16, 2021 P&Z meeting minutes, Nancy Myers of 1004 Kings Court was present and explained that there are 3 different proposals for subsidized housing on the agenda and expressed her concern for an actual need for this in the community. Myers advised that she had spoken to others that had the same feelings. Myers went on to explain that a true waiting list may not be a qualified waiting list. Myers discussed the potential drain on safety forces and the numbers of first responder calls. Myers discussed concerns on drainage issues in this area. Myers discussed traffic concerns and concerns with the street. Myers suggested looking into single-family residential development that would increase tax base and not put such a drain on public safety services. I want to reiterate the above summary comments. As the owners of the property directly adjacent to the Lease Avenue property, we understand there will be development, but do oppose numerous multifamily units. I believe you will find many of the neighbors feel the same way. Sincerely, William and Nancy Myers.
All right, thank you. All right, so there's no more
I have some.
folks that want
I
to,
have some. Yeah.
pardon?
I'd like to ask some questions.
Sure.
As time goes on, we see a lot of grandparents, which would make them 55 and older, raising their grandchildren. If these apartments or these living facilities are only for 55 and over, what is the result of that whenever these children move in with their grandparents?
Trying to see if Justin was going to take it. Great question, great question. So in our portfolio, in the properties we manage, in order for a minor to live on site, the head of household has to demonstrate guardianship or legal custody of that minor. So that's a first step. So that has to be demonstrated legal custody or guardianship of that minor on site. As I mentioned, we manage 33,000 units across the country, and about a little less than 2% of our properties actually experience that. Not our properties, 2% of our units actually have a minor living on site. And it's generally as a result of like extreme tragedy. So good question. Hope that provides some intel into what you were trying to ask.
So anybody that's 17 or less could live in that facility then, correct?
As long as the head of household that lives in a unit has legal guardianship or custody of that individual.
So in other words, the 17-year-old could go out and get in trouble of some kind with the law, and then he's still living there. So then it just snowballs and more of the problems come in.
So if that individual was becoming a disruption in our community, we would handle that through our house rules and the lease. The lease is very strict on if there's crime being done either on the property or that's impacting the residents. So we would hold true to the lease, and the person would receive a warning, and that individual would obviously be listed on the lease, so they would be accountable to the terms of the lease that do deal with crime and safety and security.
On maintenance situations, how quick, or is there a budget for maintenance work?
Yes, yeah.
Broken pipes, frozen pipes, whatever.
Yes, we have, this property will have an on-site manager, on-site maintenance person, and on-site service coordinator. So there will be 3 staff focused on property management, maintenance, and service coordination.
And that's all figured into the budget then?
That's correct.
That's great.
Okay. All right, so city council, we need to, on this first one, the Lease Avenue. So we need a motion either to accept planning and zoning's anonymous decision to reject it or to oppose it.
Planning and zoning, they recommended not doing it.
Anonymously not to approve it.
I think
I'm sorry, unanimously, thank you.
They all signed on to it.
And I think
Thank you, Mr. Law Director.
I would move to reject it.
Okay, it's moved by Mr. Leon or Mr. Rogers to
Reject.
Reject it.
Reject, not move forward with the zoning change.
So accept
Accept the
Accept the,
Right, accept the unfavorable.
okay. So it's been moved to accept planning and zoning's decision not to approve. Any more discussion? Call the roll.
Neely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right. Then next, we have the zoning recommendations for the Adrian Avenue. And that was 100% denied too.
I move that we accept the recommendation.
Been moved by Mr. Brown to accept planning and zoning. Any discussion on that? Call the roll.
Neely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right. Appreciate everyone coming up. I know this is a hard decision for planning, zoning, and city council, so I appreciate, I see both sides of this, and I appreciate everyone's here for coming. So next, we will move on to administration reports. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. Just one item really, but planning and zoning, tonight we did pass a variance to have Dunkin' Donuts work on their pre-development plan. So just kind of let you know, it's not a pre-development or anything. They got a lot of work to do, but the variance was accepted to allow them to move forward. So look forward to another business coming in town. So it's pretty nice. The other thing, I just wanted to make sure just something quick here. Chris, welcome. Thank you, Mayor. I had the privilege of swearing him in, and he did a lot of footwork today to run around town to get his paperwork all filled in and brought into us. So thanks for joining us. Wish you well. So thank you, Mayor. And I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Safety Service Director, Mr. Delk.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of things for tonight. I actually have a couple of requests for you, if I may. The first one is I request a committee assignment to review the city taking over the management responsibilities of the Greenville Transit Facility. And the second request is to review sewer, water hookup, annexation, curbs and sidewalks on the west side of 121 from the Corp to Russ Road.
Okay, so the sort of the management of the transit, we will go with personnel and public relations. So that is caught me off guard, Ryan. So Mr. Brown, Chairman, so we will assign that to you for the study of the management of transit. So basically, the request is, right, currently we sub that out for an outside company that manages transit, manages the drivers, to bring that in-house and do it ourselves.
Okay.
Instead of outsourcing it. So if you could have that back, say the first meeting in March.
Okay.
Then also on that committee is Dolores, you're vice chair, and then Chris, you are a member of that. Okay, and then the second committee request is we're gonna on the Ohio and the Russ Road. So we have a lot of different committees that we can put that on. So what we're going to do is do an ad hoc on that.
Okay.
So we're going to do an ad hoc for utility, safety, and finance. I feel the biggest part on that is the finance part. So Doug, I'm going to have you chair that. And then on the safety side, Jeff Whitaker, if you could be the the vice chairman. And then on the utility, Mr. Godwin, if you could be a member on that ad hoc committee. Okay. And then the same date on that, set that for, I would say probably the last meeting in March, because that's a lot to that.
Yeah, there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
There's honestly probably a lot to both of them.
Yeah, okay. So let's just do that the last meeting in March for both of those. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Keep going.
And that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions on legislation, but I pass.
All right, thank you. Law Director, Mr. Reeman.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just one thing tonight, I attended with Roxanne, the mayor, and Ryan, an event put on by the county. They've been made or have received $500,000 in funds to tear down vacant structures in the county. And so they're going through an application process right now to do that. We spent some time kind of driving around, seeing what we could find. There's a little bit more flexibility with the program in terms of we don't have to own the properties. We can kind of do it to incentivize some redevelopment. The only real requirements are that the structures have to be vacant. There can't be somebody living in them now. And we've got to tear down essentially the entire lot, take the lot back to undeveloped. So if it's just a barn behind a house, we can't tear down just the barn. They're looking to completely flip some properties. And so this could be a good opportunity for some people that are struggling with dilapidated properties that they're looking to redevelop. So if you're aware of anybody, there is some pretty strict timeframes on the program. We've got to have a list of properties we want to receive funds for by February 11th. So we kind of want to put that out there to the public that if you're sitting on a property and you're just not sure what to do with it and it's become overwhelming, that there may be some options. So feel free to reach out to Ryan. We'll give him some more work and we can help work through the program.
So it just has to be a vacant property.
Correct. It can be commercial, it can be residential. There's no real regulations on that. It's just that it's got to be vacant and got to be torn down. So this isn't for fixing up properties. It's kind of taking them back to the beginning to redevelop.
What if there's a property that like a garage that's been torn down, but the foundation's still there?
And so on that, I think if the property is still dilapidated, we can use it to take it back to its original structure or back to seed essentially. But it's got to be that entire property that we're kind of raising. So we'll get the exact details from the county once we have a list. But kind of step one was to identify if there were any areas in need in the city. And it's a county-wide program, so we're not entirely sure the amount of funds that are going to come to us. But certainly if there's free money out there and we think it's going to push development in a positive direction, we might as well take advantage of it.
Okay. That's it?
Yep, and with that, I'll take any questions anybody has. I'll pass.
All right, City Auditor, Roxanne Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. First of all, I'd like to welcome Chris to our group. I really appreciate you serving the community.
Thank you.
We didn't have a lot of people that were rushing to come forward to do this, so I do appreciate you coming in. And the only other item I have is to request a committee of the whole assignment to review the 2022 budget. We are ready to start down that road.
Okay, so thank you for that request. Committee as a whole, so looking at my schedule this morning, the 24th or the 31st, like 7 p.m. Could everyone look at their schedule real quick and see if they have any conflicts?
You're talking about this month, right?
Yes. So those are both Monday.
I'm good with either one.
Either one?
Yes. 24th would be my preference, but I'll make it work.
Oh, my concern is I spoke with Roxanne just before the meeting and we haven't had time to review anything. I mean, I'm hoping we can be ready by Monday, but that's a pretty quick turnaround.
You want to push it to the 31st?
I would feel better, but if it's an issue with everyone else.
31st might be a good idea to have a chance to look at it.
We haven't had a chance.
Yeah, I'll make it work.
You're good, Chris? You're good.
I have.
Okay, let's do the 31st then at 7 p.m. Anything else? Roxanne?
Pass.
Okay, next, committee reports. Any committee reports? Okay, move on to ordinances and regulations. Number 1, resolution authorizing safe service director in the contract with Choice One for the FY fiscal year 2022.
A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for the rendering of professional engineering services in 2022. This resolution authorizes the safety service director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for the rendering of professional civil engineering services in 2022.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution third reading by title only. Any discussion? Call roll.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for the rendering of professional engineering services in 2022. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Choice One Engineering for the rendering of professional engineering services in 2022.
Move to adopt. Been moved by Mr. Whitaker to adopt. Any discussion? Call roll.
Ely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion passed. Next, we have a resolution authorizing Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Hall and Associates for services.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Hull and Associates Incorporated for the rendering of professional consulting services. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Hull and Associates Incorporated for the rendering of professional consulting services in 2022.
Motion to suspend the rules on this resolution and read it by title only, second and third time.
Been moved by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules and read this resolution second, third time, title only. Any discussion? Call roll.
Ely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Hull and Associates Incorporated for the rendering of professional consulting services. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Hull and Associates Incorporated for the rendering of professional consulting services.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt. Any discussion? Call roll.
Ely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Number 3, we have a resolution authorizing the entry into a vehicle service agreement with the Darke County Commissioners.
A resolution authorizing entry into a vehicle service agreement with the Darke County Commissioners. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to enter into a vehicle service agreement with the Darke County Commissioners for the City Police Department.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution its second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Ely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing entry into a vehicle service agreement with the Darke County Commissioners. A resolution authorizing entry into a vehicle service agreement with the Darke County Commissioners.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt. Any discussion?
Did we get a pretty good rate on that or with entering that with the county?
Off the top of my head, but yes, they do give us a good rate.
That's all they do is police cars.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Ely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All right, number 4, resolution expense the funds of an exhaust system for the township of Greenville.
A resolution expending funds for an exhaust system for the township of Greenville. This resolution expends the funds for an exhaust system for the township of Greenville in the amount of $200 in order to improve the response time of the township emergency services.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this resolution and read it by title only, second and third time.
Been moved by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, read this by title, second, and third time. Any discussion? Call roll.
Ely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
A resolution expending funds for an exhaust system for the township of Greenville. A resolution expending funds for an exhaust system for the township of Greenville.
Move to adopt.
Been moved by Mr. Brown to adopt. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Ely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Last one is number 5 is a resolution waiving self-service fees for fiscal year 2022.
A resolution waiving the civil service exam fees for 2022 and declaring an emergency. This resolution waives the $25 civil service exam fees for 2022. This resolution has an emergency clause.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second reading, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Call the roll.
Neely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
A resolution waiving the civil service exam fees for 2022 and declaring an emergency. A resolution waiving the civil service exam fees for 2022 and declaring an emergency.
Move to adopt.
You gotta have the emergency clause adopted.
Oh, sorry. Move to adopt the emergency clause.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah. The last part.
And move to adopt emergency clause. Mr. Whitaker. Any discussion on the emergency clause? Call the roll.
Neely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Move to adopt the ordinance or the resolution.
Been moved to by Mr. Rogers to adopt resolution. Any discussion?
Is that gonna be citywide, Ryan? Police, fire, water?
Yes, citywide,
Everything?
everything.
Does that get more people applying or?
Well, we're not getting a lot the way it
They're having
is.
problems Trying to get people to be police officers and firemen and everything else, but
Even, the last water wastewater test that we gave, I think we waived the fees and I think we had 12 or 14 take it and 8 pass. Which really, we needed three people off that test. It gets tough.
is police and fire going up? Because I know when they had the fee, there was only like 2 or 3 people showing up and.
Right.
How many tested last time?
14 and 4 passed.
Oh, jeez.
We're not gonna talk about the half. 4 passed, okay?
So it is helping a little.
It does help, yeah. I mean, we're concerned that if we don't do it, you're gonna get no one or 1 or 2. And then it's not gonna be a competitive test, and there's a lot of work and effort that goes in to the Civil Service Commission. And
Yeah, because when I was on civil service for a while and it was a $25 fee to pay for the test because the tests aren't free.
correct.
And I remember going out here to the church out on 127 to have the test one time for the firemen, and it was packed out for that test. But things has changed, and it's not like it was
days ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Chief Roberts is an old timer, but I think when you took it was 100. 200.
That might have been what we did at the church.
So, and now 14. So
He's he's the best out of 200.
Before my time, that's what they tell me.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Call the roll.
Neely? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All right. Motion passed. New business. Do we have any new business? Old business? Nothing. Outside committees, Council on Aging, do you have anything?
I got my report. Okay, this is on the Council on Aging. Greenville / Dark County is part of the area agency on aging, and that's located in Dayton. There is a local contact number and an 800 number. Their current outreach programs consist of Passport, that's assisting in performing home tasks such as cleaning, cooking, and laundry for seniors. ComCare, it's home assistance to keep an individual out of a nursing home. Assisted living serves as kind of a gap measure between independent living and nursing homes. The Older American Act funding, the agency administers federal programs and it supports a regional network of services, helping people to identify what services are available in their neighborhood and in their community, in the state and the community. And all of the services that are offered are based on a qualification and assessment by agency social workers and medical staff. And one of the things, if you're interested in learning more about this, and you can go to the seniorcitizensofohio.com.
Thank you very much for that report. Communications,
Nothing.
nothing? Wow, you're making it easy. Call of council.
Ely? Well, I'd like to report and give a congratulations to Chris, especially running around getting your paperwork in order. That's good.
Yep, thank you.
So welcome to council. Glad to have you. I also would like to just address, we talk about all the things like when we get a recommendation from another committee. I think it's important for us to not only look at the recommendation that we get, but the feedback that we get from the community. I understand that we probably had some people walk away disappointed tonight. But that's the part of a growing community. You don't always get what you want the first time. And there's more than one way to solve a problem. Yes, we may need senior citizens, but we don't necessarily have to go about it the same way. We can try another approach. And so I say to anybody who wants to do something in the community, if one thing doesn't work, try something else and keep working towards a goal to make your community better. And with that, I pass. Sorry, I was long-winded tonight.
Thank you.
Godwin?
Yeah, welcome, Chris.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
You'll be a good, at least I'll be not down here by myself.
So
anymore.
that's right.
And, half the people's gone, but I was gonna say, thanks for coming up tonight. And, like Dolores said, it's good that we, got people that's wanting to do stuff in the community and, build and do projects. Like the mayor talked about Dunkin' Donuts coming to town and, we lost, another restaurant here in town here within a week or two that rapid fire closed up and, it's hopefully Dunkin' Donuts can get some people to work for them and open up. And I don't need to excuse the absence for the month. We did good there. And I'll pass.
Norris?
Well, thank you all for having me here tonight. I appreciate the Dark County Executive Committee for their appointment. Some of you were there last evening. Roxanne and Kim for your assistance, and the mayor for the swearing in. Was kind of an expedient process today, but we got the objective passed. So look forward to serving on the council as well as serving not only my Ward 4, but also the citizens of Greenville, working with the administration. So with that, I pass.
Rogers?
Yes, Chris, thanks for serving and I look forward to working with you. And with that, I pass.
Schmidt?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Hang on high again. Yeah. Thanks for keeping Clarence down there.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
Whitaker?
Yeah, I want to welcome Chris. He's exhibited interest over the last couple of years in serving on council, and we're very pleased that you decided to come forth and serve. So welcome.
Yep.
And to all who came tonight, appreciate your voice opinions, and that's what it takes to make decisions. And like I echo what Dolores said as well. So with all that, I pass.
Brown?
Again, I'd like to thank the remainder of the folks that are here for coming, and the folks that left already. I spoke to several folks over the last couple of weeks, and even when I was on planning and zoning, because I had the ability to sit in on those as well as the year ended. Again, obviously, a couple of people left out unhappy, but at the end, we had to do what we thought was best. So, echoing Dolores, try, if it don't work the first time, try again for something different. Chris, welcome. It's a pleasure to serve with you here. Chris and I have had the opportunity over the last probably 15, 20 years, and he's got to see me grow in the fire and EMS field. So it's a pleasure to get to serve on this board with him. And I just want to know, do I win the award for shortest tenure as the new guy, or?
I think it's close.
So with that, I pass.
President Baumgartner?
Yeah, just a couple things. So Chris, huge supporter of Greenville. I don't know how many sporting events I've seen yet over the years. Very patriotic. I really admire that. So what a great asset to have you on the city council. So I welcome you. Look forward to working with you. And then also, I could kind of echo like what everyone said. I mean, there's some folks left not getting what they wanted. One of my favorite things I say to my kids is you can't always get what you want. And taken from Dolores was take it and reform it so, we can work with it. I'm big on single family. We have too many rentals in Greenville. So we need more single family homes. We have plenty of opportunity in the city for that. The South School project, I think they've got like almost all of those sold. They haven't built yet. We need more people developing single family homes, just my thought. With that, I will obtain a motion to adjourn.
So moved
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to adjourn. Call roll. Any discussion on that? I guess there's no discussion on that, right? Okay, call the roll.
Haley? Yes. Godwin?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.